Ever wondered what happens when things get, well, complicated in ethical non-monogamy? Today, we're diving into a situation that really makes you think about trust and respect.
Yeah, it's a story that really highlights the challenges people face when they're trying to, redefine what a relationship looks like.
We're looking at some Reddit posts from a user we'll call him Broken Arrow, who shared his story on the r non-monogamy subreddit. He and his wife were doing the E&M thing for over a
As it
decade.
years, you'd think they'd have it all figured out, right?
You'd think. But it turns out that even long-term E&M relationships can hit some serious bumps in the road.
And this is a big one.
This one's a doozy. So Broken Arrow walks in on while he overhears his wife and her partner. They're being intimate, and let's just say they weren't exactly singing his praises.
And we're not talking just a little bit of awkward pillow talk here. These were seriously disrespectful comments.
The kind that makes you question everything.
Exactly. And the thing is, this wasn't something they had talked about beforehand. No agreements, no, hey, is this cool? Just a total blindside.
A complete violation of their ground rules, right? Those boundaries that are supposed to make E&M work.
Exactly. It makes you think about consent, even within this context. It's not a one-time conversation. It's an ongoing dialogue.
It's got to make you question your whole relationship, right? Like, this is the woman he loves, and she's acting in a way that feels so disrespectful.
It really shakes the foundation of trust they'd built over all those years.
And it brings up that question, does E&M make these issues more complex, or does it just bring them to the surface?
Big questions, for sure. And the response from the our non-monogamy community was really interesting. There were some people who were ready to, you know, burn it all down.
Yeah, leave her was a common theme, I bet. It does feel like a serious betrayal.
Absolutely. But then there were others who advocated for a more, let's say, nuanced approach.
Therapy, maybe. Trying to work through it.
Exactly. Trying to figure out what went wrong and if they could even come back from this.
Wow. So we have this whole spectrum of reactions from walk away to let's try to fix this.
Which I think speaks to the fact that there are no easy answers in these situations. Even within a community that's all about exploring non-traditional relationships, there's still a lot of debate about what's okay and what's not.
And then it turns out there's even more to this story, right? Like this incident was just scratching the surface.
Oh yeah, this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay, so spill it. What else came out in therapy?
Well, as they started digging deeper, Broken Arrow's wife admitted to, well, basically breaking their ground rules. And not just once.
Wait, really? So this wasn't a one-time thing?
Nope. She admitted to, in her own words, doing it for the thrill. Can you believe
Oh,
it?
for real? What does that even mean?
Yeah, it's not like she felt neglected or was missing something in their relationship. It was more like she was, I don't know, pushing the limits, testing things.
That's kind of messed up, to be honest. I mean, where does that even come from?
That's what makes these situations so complex. It could be a lot of things, right? Maybe it's a need for novelty. Maybe it's some deeper insecurity. Maybe it's a bit of both.
So basically, she was messing with their relationship just to see what would happen.
It seems that way. And this is where I think the whole E&M thing gets really tricky. It's like you're already challenging the norms, so any little insecurity or unresolved issue can become magnified.
It's like walking a tightrope, but you're blindfolded and someone keeps shaking the rope.
Exactly. And to find out that your partner's been the one shaking it all along, that's got to be rough.
It makes you wonder if you can ever really know someone you know. Like, how do you come back from that level of betrayal?
And that takes us to the next chapter of this story.
Yeah.
The quest for resolution. Can you ever truly forgive someone who's broken your trust so deeply?
That's a tough one. Even in so-called normal relationships, forgiveness is a big deal. But in this context, where they've chosen to have this open arrangement, it feels even more loaded.
It is. And I think it's important to remember that forgiveness is not a one-and-done kind of thing. It's a process.
It's a journey, right?
Not a destination.
Exactly. It takes time and honesty and a willingness to be vulnerable on both sides.
And rebuilding trust, that's a whole other challenge, isn't it?
It is. You can't just slap a Band-Aid on a broken foundation. You have to dig deep, understand why the cracks appeared in the first place. And that's not easy.
It's like that saying, trust takes years to build, seconds to break, and forever to repair.
Exactly. And in Broken Arrow's case, he was willing to try to repair things. But he had one major condition.
So he's basically saying it's me or her.
Right. It's a tough ultimatum for sure. But I think it came from a place of, like, if we're going to do this, we have to do it right.
No more games, no more sneaking around. Exactly. He needed to know if she was truly committed to rebuilding their relationship, if she was willing to make a clean break from the source of the hurt.
And what did she say? Did she agree to cut off contact?
She did. It seems like she was genuinely remorseful, like she finally understood the pain she'd caused.
Well, that's got to be a good sign, right? Her being willing to make that sacrifice.
It is a big step. But, agreeing to do something and actually doing it are two different things. And even then, there's still a lot of work to be done to rebuild trust.
So what happened next? How did they try to move forward?
From his posts, it sounds like they went all in on honesty, like radical transparency. He needed to know where she was, who she was with, what she was feeling.
I can see why he'd need that. After being lied to, it's natural to question everything.
And she was willing to do it. She went to therapy, he went to therapy, they went to couples therapy. They were both putting in the work.
Wow. It sounds like they were both really committed to making it work. But the big question is, did it work?
That's the thing. Broken Arrow's posts don't really give us a definitive ending. He talks about their progress, the ups and downs, the struggles he's having with forgiveness, but
He leaves us hanging. No happily ever after.
not in those posts anyway. And maybe that's the point. Relationships are messy. There aren't always easy answers or fairy tale endings.
I guess that's true for all relationships, not just the ones that are, outside the box.
Absolutely. But I think this story really highlights the importance of communication, honesty, and respect. No matter what your relationship looks like, those things are essential.
It's like that saying, communication is key. It sounds cliche, but it's true.
It really is. And if you're thinking about exploring E&M or any kind of alternative relationship style, you have to be willing to communicate, to be honest with yourself and your partner, and to set clear boundaries.
And most importantly, to respect those boundaries.
100%.
Well, this has been a roller coaster of a deep dive. Lots of things to think about.
That's for sure.
So, until next time, remember relationships are complex, communication is crucial, and always, always respect each other.